The Crafty Collector asks, I've been happy working on my own for the longest time. When do you know it's time to hire extra hands? Yeah, it's tough to let go of doing this stuff yourself. It is really tough. The reason is because you can so radically increase your output with help, properly allocated. And it's hard to properly allocate. I'm still very much a learning computer when it comes to delegation. I don't like letting control of stuff go. It's often faster for me to do it than to explain it. But the fact is that your output increases when you have help. And help can be great. I do, however, have a thing in here I've only recently realized, which is that I can't have my shop assistant come in here when I'm having a no meeting day. Like a no meeting day, which I'm trying to get like once a week, sometimes twice a week if I'm really lucky. But like once a week, a no meeting day is like the time for me to go into flow. And I scheduled my shop assistant on a day I was doing that, and I realized it was a mistake. Because I really need that alone time. And that's just part of the iterative process of me learning what works in here and learning how it works. Oh, this is wonderful. Dave Yoder. I have been with my employer for 25 years. A few months ago, I was appointed to vice president of the company. What advice would you give to a good leader? Any processes that you would make sure should be in place for the company? I don't know about processes for the company. I would say checking in with your team and building procedures in which you can keep tabs on how things are actually going. And that's tricky because you will let your people know in subtle ways with your mood the things you don't like hearing, and they will remove those from your dance card if you're unhappy enough times. So it takes diligence of your own, it takes discipline from you to know that you are asking for the truth and actually receiving it. Give feedback. That is another thing I have not always been excellent at as a boss, is giving feedback. Sometimes I would find myself looking at something and this is great, and then thinking I've got to text them about that tomorrow. And I stopped doing it tomorrow. I've started doing it right away. People want to know, and it's also easy because time moves so fast to think, well, I gave a compliment like 3 months ago, which is like, you know, to me, it felt like yesterday, and it's like time is passing. So feedback early, often, always, ongoing is so, so important. Everyone wants to know how things are going. And when you want everyone to be pulling on the same rope, they all need the same mental image of what's going on. I really believe that. In America, we often have a very rigid schedule system, and that is often anathema to living a reasonable life with kids. I would say if you are in a position to implement policies that are good for your employees, flexible working hours and flexible work from home policies would be absolutely manifestly paramount in this regard. Yeah, I just wrote here, give feedback, time moves fast, tell things now. Bonus, give people bonuses. I only ever got one bonus in my whole professional life, and it was a big deal. And all the other times when my co-employees got bonuses and I didn't, oh yeah, those sucked. Yeah, company does well, everyone should do well. That's absolutely how that should go. Again, we're going back to asking the question, because I really appreciate, as a newly minted VP, that you are asking that question. I just spent time at an engineering conference with a lot of high-level managers of people who work for large space agencies and governments and Fortune 50 companies. And everybody, to the last person, will tell you that it is only and ever about the people. I'm giving a talk at a university in a couple of weeks, and they've asked for something akin to a commencement address. And as I think through life advice that I would like to give to young people, the one that I redound to now is it's about the people you get to work with. And so if you are young and starting out in your career and you find somebody like a good friend and you work really well together, like you like being friends, but you also work really well together, I'm here to tell you from my vantage point that that great working relationship is rare. And when you find it, you should feed it and continue to do it. And much of the best things that have ever come out of the world have come out of groups of people that found each other, held on to each other, and together made something that none of the individuals in that group could have made. And now there's one thing I wanted to finish with. Hold on, where is it? Sorry, I'm going to give a very quick answer to this. Low Pro Java asks, help me buy my first vacuum former. How much should I spend and what brands should I look for? There is a YouTube channel of a guy who built a vacuum former using a tinfoil lined garbage can and a space heater, and it works magnificently. How much should you spend on your first vacuum former? That much, like 70 bucks. That worked so well, I almost built one in here, but instead I actually wheeled my big vacuum former over from storage. Okay, on to Stinky Man Cheese's question, and we'll close with this one. He says, I don't know if it's a he, I'm sorry. Stinky Man Cheese says, my father was an old school wood and metal worker who passed away 5 years ago, and I inherited his wood shop and metalworking areas, even though I didn't know a lot about either. And the other day I had to rethread a bolt for a table I was fixing. I looked at my dad's old tap and die set and found handwritten notes on how to measure the threads and lubricate, and I was so proud I had done something that I had never done before, and it worked. And then I cried as I felt my father being proud of me too. Yeah. It has me motivated to try and learn to use every tool he gave me, not just to honor him, but to keep that same sense of pride I felt for myself. How do you honor those who have passed that you inherited tools from or even know how to use? Is my situation unique or commonplace? It's totally commonplace. It's a beautiful thought that you've laid out here, Stinky Man Cheese. Because I have, right here, I'll be right there. My grandfather was a surgeon, one of the pioneers of breast cancer surgery, worked at Columbia Presbyterian, wrote the seminal textbook in the early part of the century, Diseases of the Breast. His name was Cushman Hagensen, and he was also a super DIYer Norwegian, and this is one of the 2 clamps I have from him, from his workshop. And I honor him by using these all the time and letting them get beat up in my shop. I have some of my dad's paintbrushes, and I use them. Tools want to be used. They are fulfilling their purpose when they are used. This is why I love it so much at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in their Armor Conservation Lab, that they have museum acquisitions that they're actually using. They're hammers that are 500 years old that they are using because it's the only hammer that can do that thing that they need it to do. That's a fantastic upending of the museum paradigm, which is you take the thing and you cease it aging, lock it in amber, and look at it for eternity. Tools were made to be used. I love nothing. Every time I retire a tool from the shop, I don't throw it away. It goes into a bin up front. And when makers come through, I'll often be like, hey, look through this and take what you want. There are machine tools in there. There's power tools, all sorts of stuff. Passing tools into the continuum of tools for other people is the purpose of tools. We're human beings, we're explorers and we're makers, and as makers, we are tool makers. And some of the coolest things we're seeing in animal cognition now are apes and crows and other animals utilizing tools in the hunt for food and shelter. And so I think that you honor those that passed you the inherited tools by using them, by exactly what you're doing, by learning how to use them. And that's so beautiful. You have handwritten notes from your dad on how to use taps. That is really particularly lovely. Stinky Man Cheese, thank you for that great question to close with.
Thank you for watching that video. Are you as sick of the tosses to membership as I am? Good, because here's a brand new one that I recorded today, and it's nice and short. There are 3 tiers to tested membership, and they all offer awesome stuff. Find out about it by clicking the join link below. We'll see you there.